Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, I hope all of you are fine and studying at home. And I think a test result has been shared with you. You are going to have your test of computer science as well in the month of November, in the month of December, and in the month of January. So these are basically the tests that you are going to have, and the syllabus has also been shared with you. I will also make a post in your Google Classroom as well about it, so that you can see from there as well that basically what are the chapters included in those tests that we have decided. So in the test that we are going to have in November, the very first test, it will be conducted inshallah on 30th of November. 30th of November it will be conducted. It will contain MCQs and it will contain the short questions and long questions as well. The timing will be from 1 o'clock, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. It will be the timing. So, in the same manner as we had our tests in stand up exams, we had a basically procedure of conducting exams in Google Classroom. So in the same manner, you are going to have the post of the test for your subjective and objective paper, just like we had our stand up exam. So for subjective and objective paper, there would be two posts, and you have to do it accordingly. You need to be very much careful about time, and you need to be very much honest while attempting your paper, so that you may have a clear understanding that what is basically your knowledge, your level of knowledge, what are the things that you have understood, and how much you are basically good at doing all these things. Okay. So I hope that all of you understand this thing, and those who will not take these tests seriously, we are going to take action against those students. Okay. Of course, we are not going to tolerate that you are taking the test non-seriously, you are not attempting the test, or you are just just not writing anything over there and considering that it has no importance. No, we are going to take action against those students who have who don't consider it important. So this thing is very much important. Okay, so you need to be very much careful about this thing. In last class we were going through the topic which was basically about different communication methodologies which are used over the telephone lines, and we had completed this topic, but today we are just going to make a simple comparison between any two of them, so that you should know that if a question comes to compare them, how you are going to make your bullet points and how you are going to make at least 3 to 4 points to write a proper answer. Tawheed, you want to ask something? You have raised the hand.
Sir, we have to buy the OMR sheets.
No, OMR sheets are not there to buy. OMR sheet that I had shared with you in the video, I will also share the video in your Google Classroom as well. Basically, the purpose was to tell you basically what was the objective. We wanted to tell you that in your board exam, when you will have your MCQs paper in your board exam, not talking about the regular test which you are taking in your school. In the schools you are not going to have
Okay.
this sheet. Okay, it will be for the board exam. Board will provide this sheet. Board is going to basically give you this sheet.
Okay. Okay.
So that's why I had your teachers would have shared the video with you, in which basically I had shown you that how you are going to fill your MCQ's answer sheet, because MCQ's paper is different. You will be having your question paper, you will read the questions from there, and you will put your answers over here. That was basically the thing that I wanted to communicate to all the ninth and 10th class students, and this thing was explained in that video, that you are going to write your version number from the question paper, from the question, because there are different questions papers MCQs which are having shuffled questions. So you need to write the version number of your question paper over here and over here, and you write your roll number over here. Similarly, you highlight the version number according to the digits which are there, just like you can see over here. So this was basically explanation about that. You will highlight these bubbles according to the roll numbers and version number. You will write part 1. If you are in ninth class, you will take the part 1, you will mention the subject, whatever the subject you are taking, and the questions that are there in the question paper, you will read the question and you will highlight the answers accordingly. And there are some precautions that I had explained you in that video. Okay, this was the phenomena. It is not basically followed normally in the schools internal exams, because the schools don't have such kind of sheet. Normally this is basically followed in the board exam. So in order to give you a clear concept about it, at that time you should not be confused, you should not be doing mistake, you should not be filling outside, you should not be filling incomplete, you should not be in that much hurry that you are not writing version number or something. So that's why we had made this video, to give you the concept. So in our last class, we were having dial-up connection, DSL, ISDN, and CDMA. I will show very short video to you. Then we will make a comparison. Is there any other student who has got anything to ask? Kindly, if you have anything, please ask me. Anything that you want to ask. Nothing is there to ask. Okay. Just see this short video. Then we are going to have a comparison.
DialUp is a very old technology which was commonly used in the 1990s. What you need is dial-up modem and a telephone number. When you dial up to the internet, it sounds like this. The maximum speed of a dial-up connection is about 56 kilobits per second. It is very slow and you cannot use your telephone and the internet at the same time. But you were happy because you got the internet. Even now in 2018, the dial-up is still used by many users, especially those in remote areas and rednecks in the USA. Digital Subscribe Line, or DSL, is another last mile technology that transmits data faster over traditional PSTN lines. At home, DSL uses existing telephone line and DSL modem. DSL modem separates analog signal of your telephone from digital signals of your computer. Thus, DSL does not interfere with normal telephone calls on the telephone line and does not require dialing a telephone number to initiate a connection. It is always on. A DSL modem is also used for communicating with a local switching facility. The device at a local switching facility which communicates with the DSL modem is called Digital Subscriber Line Access Multiplexer, or DSLAM. DSLAM is connected directly to the internet.
Okay. So over here you have seen that basically the dial-up and the DSL. There was a tone which I wanted to tell you that this kind of calling was done in the dial-up connection. We used to call and the call was connected. So this was basically the sound that used to be there when we were using the dial-up modem, but still it is used. Although it is obsolete now, but it has not been removed at all. It is there at some places, particularly in the rural areas. Then we had the ISDN, and after ISDN we had the DSL links. The DSL link was the better technology. In both the DSL and in ISDN, we have got their separate modems. Now we see another video and then we are going to make a comparison among them.
Integrated Services Digital Network. Not a long time ago, the PSTA was all analog, from customer premises to central office, local loop, and from central office to the backbone of the network. PSTA was simply designed for analog telephone calls. With the advent of personal computers, digital data transmission was needed. For voice calls, everything remained the same. For computers, modems were developed to allow the digital exchanges over existing analog PSTA network. Digital signals are modulated to analog signals and transmitted over the PSTA network. Only at the receiving end, analog signals are demodulated back to original digital signals. But analog signals have many disadvantages compared with digital signals. 1. Over the long distance, analog signals cannot maintain high quality. 2. Analog signals carry less information per second than digital signals. 3. Analog signals are not so flexible as digital signals in terms of data rate, services, and support. For these reasons, ISDN came to the rescue. ISDN is a set of international communication standards designed in 1980s and improved in 1990s. It is a digital network to transmit voice, image, video, and text over the existing circuit-switched PSTA telephone network. ISDN provides a single interface for hooking up your telephone, fax machine, and computers. Here is a simplified version of ISDN setup at a small office or home office. Different types of devices, such as an analog phone, a fax machine, or a computer, are connected to an ISDN terminal adapter, or TA, which converts different types of data into ISDN format so that they can share the same digital PSTA network. There are two ISDN options.
Okay. So what we have gone through over here, already we had discussed these points, but I wanted to show you with these animation that how the technologies got advancement in them. We had dial-up connection. Dial-up connection is entirely analog in nature. Then we started the dedicated lines. And in dedicated lines, in the beginning, we had ISDN, then we got the DSL, and then there was an advancement. It was basically called asymmetric DSL, and then CDMA came. And all the dedicated lines have got their own specific advantages and advancements with them. Okay, so that these all are the things that we need to understand over here. If we make a simple comparison between dial-up and dedicated, so what is basically that comparison that we can make over here for a dial-up connection and a dedicated connection? Number one point is that always connected. Dial-up is always connected. We had discussed about it. Dial-up connection will be always connected. You don't need to establish the connection again and again. This is very important thing about the dial-up connection. So if we write a heading about it over here, we can just like what is basically the basis for basis of comparison. Okay, what is the basis of the comparison of the very first point? The basis of the comparison of the very first point is basically about the connection. In dedicated, the connection is established unless a system administrator or power failure takes the leased line down. Dedicated line is also called the leased line or the dedicated line. Initiated on demand, whenever you need to connect, then you connect in dial-up connection. And you need to connect it again and again whenever you want to have a connection. You need to dial a call for it, as you have seen in this video that I shared with you. Number second point is there uses synchronous and asynchronous communication. For synchronous communication, a long haul modem is often used. You know that in dedicated lines we have got ISDN, DSL, and CDMA. But over here only asynchronous was there. That's why it was very slow. That's why it was very slow. So over here, if we give it a heading to this point, so you can write over here about the data stream, what kind of data stream is there, or you can also write the transmission mode, data stream or transmission mode. Over here the streaming is synchronous and asynchronous both, but over here only asynchronous. And you know very well what is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous, because we had discussed about in asynchronous character by character transmission, slow transmission is there. In a synchronous transmission, the packets are sent. Now, next point is they rent it from a provider, uses existing telephone line. Dedicated line is basically you take the dedicated line from an ISP. You take the service from a vendor. But over here, what is the case in the dial-up connection? You just dial your telephone line, use your telephone line. Normal telephone line is available in your home or in office that you use for talking, to dial up on the public switch telephone network. You are using that connection for that purpose, but it is basically a dedicated connection. So you can also give any name to this point as well. For example, to remember to remember this point over here, dedicated connection, type of line is basically dedicated, rented, and over here normal telephone line, rented or dedicated, rented from a provider. Requires synchronous units, uses less costly modem. Over here we can write this point in this way, that uses specific modems are there. And over here if we see, then it uses only dial-up modem. In dedicated lines, we have got DSL, ISDN modems that we use for a specific purpose. So over here you can write type of modem. Type of modem is the difference between these two. Requires asynchronous ports which are common on most. Okay, we can remove this point. I think these points are enough, so don't need to write 5 4 5 points are enough. Okay, 3 to 4 points, because normally a short question contains 3 points about it. Now we see another example, how we can compare the dial-up connection with the with this DSL connection. How you are going to make this comparison? This is the thing that we need to understand. But before going towards this, I would like to mark attendance. Okay, we have got from Armash to Sayyid Afan. Okay. Okay, we come to the next point. What happens in the dial-up and the DSL? But this is the comparison that we are going to make. We are not going to make each comparison between them, but you need to uh, understand all the four types. But normally the comparison which is asked is about dial-up and the DSL modem, dial-up and the DSL connection. So if we are comparing the dial-up connection with specifically with the DSL, what are different points that we can write over here specifically when we are comparing? So what are the different things that we can write over here? So if I take another column over here, I can write a good heading for it for the basis of comparison. Now you can see that very first point is that occupy a telephone line, phone line. Phone line is used for either voice service or internet connection. Means you cannot do multiple jobs with that particular phone line. At the same time you are connected with the internet connection, and at the same time you are using the telephone for the sake of calling someone. This is not possible in the dial-up connection. Either you will call by the telephone or you will connect internet by the telephone in dial-up connection. Over here, telephone line is not affected by the internet connection. You are using internet connection as well. At the same time, you can make a call using your telephone line. So this was a great advantage when DSL was introduced. It was one of the greatest advantage of the DSL line. So people used to have DSL telephone connection instead of their traditional, telephone connections. Simultaneous transmission of data and voice or fax. Similarly, you can make send fax or voice or data, whatever, at the same time. So this is basically the very first difference between the dial-up connection, dial-up telephone line, and the DSL telephone line. We can write over here number of tasks. What are the number of tasks that we can perform using one connection? So there are multiple in DSL but single in dial-up. Now second point is about the speed. So over here we can see that connection speed is less than 56. Over here 256 to 220 MB, so it was very fast. If we compare it, there is a great difference. There isn't any comparison in the speed. There is a great difference. Number third point, have to dial an access number to connect to the internet. There is always a number of the ISP, telephone number, which is given with that service for which you are taking the internet service to connect it with the telephone line. So we used to dial that particular number 111222333 in this way. In this way, there used to be the numbers given by the PTCL. In similar way, there were different numbers by different PSTN. Over here, you don't need to dial again and again. So no need to dial number, always connected. Connection. This is again about the basically connection. So if we see over here, you need to establish a connection. And over here, you have a connection which is already established. You just don't need to connect it again and again. Number next point is that connected using a computer modem. Over here, we have got a computer modem. This is called basically a dial-up modem. Dial-up modem. Over here, we have got a specific modem called digital subscriber link modem, DSL modem, also called DSL multiplexer. So we can write over here type of modem. What type of modem is there in the DSL connection and what type of modem is there in the dial-up connection. Now in dial-up connection, unique IP address for each connection. Whenever you will connect, it will give you a unique IP address each time. N number of time you will connect, N number of time you will get the new IP address. IP address is basically internet protocol address. Internet protocols are used whenever you are using the dial-up network. If you write over here, you will be able to see that every computer that we connect over the network, it is basically having an IP address. An internet protocol address is a numerical assigned number to each device connected to computer network that uses the internet protocol for communication. So right now, just like we are using Windows operating system, so we are basically based on the TCP/IP. TCP/IP means where we are getting transmission control protocol and internet protocol to get connected with the internet connection. So every time there was a new IP address assigned to the PC, which is going to connect. Whenever you will make the call, you will be having a new IP address. But over here, dedicated, static or dedicated IP address is assigned to the user. Why? Because it has got a dedicated telephone line for the use of internet. That's why. So higher security is there. Okay. Low monthly fee, and over here high monthly fee just because of the speed. Fees is fees may be cost may be one of the option. Easy setup, no setup fee, but normally when you first time take the DSL link, they come to your place and they install, so they sometimes charge the setup fee as well. Okay, we can remove this point or we can write it at the same point in the fee option. Available to everyone with a telephone line. In this case, you don't need to take a separate connection because you have already telephone line in case of dial-up connection. But in case of DSL connection, you need to have the separate line. This is very important thing because when in early 90s we had in the 90s and even in the beginning of the 2000 when we had our connections, which were DSL, which were traditional connections, not DSL connections. So afterward, ISDN was introduced. It was not that much successful, but when DSL was introduced, so it was very successful. So people started changing their connection. So we should have at least one, two, three, four, five, six. 6 points are I think enough. So we can remove these points. 6 points are enough. I'm going to give you these points in your notes with your Google Classroom. I hope these all things are clear to all of you. If you have got anything that you want to ask, please ask me, raise the hand. I have explained you the things about important factors about your upcoming tests as well. All the things are clear to all the students? Good. Okay, now we move to the next point. Similarly, you may be asked to compare some other things CDMA with them, but since the text is not there for the CDMA that much text, so I have compared it with the DSL, dedicated and dial-up. Basically, this is the comparison that you can make in general for all kind of comparison for the dial-up with the DSL or ISDN or CDMA even. Okay. Now, what is basically the purpose of the modem? Why modem is used? Nowadays, we have got routers. Routers are used inside the houses and the offices, and this generation is quite familiar with the use of the routers. But there used to be modems in the early past. We used to connect our computer systems with the internet, either with the dial-up modem or with the DSL or ISDN modem. So modem is basically a specific device. Either it will be connected inside, or it will be an external device that you will connect with the serial port. Both the methodologies were there. People used to have in the form of card, just like you can see over here in this example, in this picture. This is a card, modem card. And in this modem card, you have got two ports. These are basically called COM ports, communication ports. And we used to insert the telephone cable in them. Telephone cable, as I had told you, that is basically having a connector of RJ11, smaller connector as compared to the NIC, smaller connector. So we used to connect our telephone, we used to remove the cable from the telephone set, and we used to connect it over here in the COM port, and then we were able to make a call to connect. Those who want to have better performance, so they used to buy the external modem. If your computer does not have a modem card, built-in modem card, or any modem card which is installed in any PCI slot, so what was the procedure? The procedure was to have an external modem. Of course, the external modem that you are going to use, it will be connected to your CPU, and there was a serial port on the computer system's IO channel with which we could connect this external modem. What is the function of the modem? Modem performs two jobs. We had discussed about it. But once again, I would like to explain this thing over here in this topic, because when we say modem, then it comes in your mind that what does a modem do? Modem performs the task of modulation and demodulation. Modulation and demodulation are the two tasks which are performed by the modem. Modulation, when we are converting from digital to analog, when we are sending signal from our computer, we are sending any request from our computer to access some web site. So we will write www.google.com, let's suppose. So that request that will be sent, it will be basically digital. So your modem is going to convert it into analog, because your telephone lines are not supporting the digital communication. These are analog. So the modulation will be performed by the modem. But when you will get the data back from the Google server and you are getting that website opened in front of you, what happens? The data will come in the digital format, but it will, your telephone line that you are using, it is not supporting digital format. Of course, it will convert it in analog and will send you the analog signal. Again, your modem is going to convert it to the digital format so that it can come in that particular pattern which is understandable by the computer system, because computer system understands only digital format. So basically these are the two phenomena of modulation and demodulation. Modulation and demodulation. Okay. These are the two phenomena which are performed by the modems. And you can see different types of modem pictures are available over the internet. So what happens in these two types of phenomena? Conversion of the signal. Conversion of the signal is basically performed, and that particular conversion is basically done because you want to make a proper communication over the internet. So an analog signal is converted to a digital signal, and digital signal is converted back to an analog signal. Basically, this is the phenomena that is done by the modem. You can see over here a number of pictures are given over here. You can see any one of them. So modulation means analog to digital, digital to analog. So modulation when you are converting from digital to analog. Demodulation when you are converting from analog to digital. This is called demodulation. So you can see over here digital to analog modulation, analog to digital demodulation. Up to here, if you have got any question, please ask me. Ask me. I will also share some videos about these functionalities of the dial-up DSL modems and ISDN modems. We are going to discuss this topic in much more detail, and I will also give you these notes about by writing specific points about those, just like characteristics and differences. ISDN modem and DSL modem and dial-up modem. Okay, have you got any question, please? Something is there to ask? Please ask me. Okay, all the things are clear to all the students? Okay, fine. Thank you so much, all of you.